Hey, what's good, fam? Welcome to another episode of the Feed Me, Fuel Me podcast. Darius and Jeff coming to you live from Feed Me, Fuel Me Studios. That's what we're going to start calling it from now on.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
It's going to change up here in a little bit.
Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Josh Zuniga.
Yeah, man.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, boys. How about you?
Doing really good.
man.
Thanks
Nice,
for being
beautiful.
here, boss.
Awesome.
Real
Thank you for
estate
having me.
specialist and leader of hearts.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see to talk about your journey into coaching. I know that's a newer venture for you, so
Absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
pumped to dive into that. We met at Travis and Maddie's 100K Journey seminar.
Yes.
In which you spoke. I sat on a panel just talking to fitness entrepreneurs and influencers as to how to develop their brand. In your case, you spoke on the utilization of video and how Facebook is, and pretty much all social media is moving away from stills to lives and video predominantly.
Absolutely.
So we'll dive into that trend as well. But you're a generational real estate guy. Your family kind of groomed you into that career path, and now you're kind of shifting gears, not necessarily away from it, but you're adding to your cup with some of these other ventures.
I'm always adding to my cup. I'm always putting something on my plate, man.
But you're an interesting dude in that when I walk into a room and I'm doing my meet and greet thing, trying to shake as many hands as possible, and getting a feel for the energy in the room, it's very rare that I bump into somebody like yourself or Jeff or Max, where I can tell that you can tell that we're assessing each other's energy.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And to quote our interaction, I introduced myself, you introduced yourself, and then you immediately said, brother, I feel your energy.
Yeah.
You know, and we just had Layla Mirage on, who's a Reiki practitioner.
Beautiful. I love it.
Right. And she did sessions with all three of us over the course of the weekend. So like the energy, the chakra, the
alignments,
the alignments, all that stuff is like very front and center right now for us. So
that's good.
But for people who don't know who you are and like what being groomed in the real estate business actually entails, tell us your journey, man.
Yeah, boys, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Our interaction was wonderful when we first met. Like you said, where there was just a beautiful, almost like a sync of energy that you say that just kind of happens, and you identify that with people when you first interact. There's something different about this individual, but it's in a good way, not in a negative way.
Right.
So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna introduce myself to this person and see exactly where the conversation is going to go, and then as you pull back, a couple layers here and there, and be like, cool. That's where we click.
Yeah.
And that's where I knew we were, because I saw your bracelet first off too, because I have a chakra bracelet also.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's a spiritual guy, so we're going to be clicking on, some cool levels here.
Yeah.
But to go back to answer your question, my family has been involved with real estate for going on probably 3 decades now, 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents own a credit reporting agency, so they deal with some of the biggest mortgage banks and lenders here within Arizona and also other states. So if you are looking to buy a house, or if you're a borrower, you're going to go to a lender. That lender is going to pull your credit report through either a third-party company or directly from the bureaus. We're that third-party company, and we're almost a middleman to the bureaus. So if there's anything that, say like there's a blemish on your credit, or you need help with getting, some deletion letters off, or using some deletion letters to increase your score. I've literally had clients 100 points, 30 days, 50 points, 10 days. It's been nuts to see exactly what kind of magic is what I call it that my parents and their crew that they have. I think there's over 12 girls and employees there that'd be able to do. And then all my brothers, I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay.
So I have 2 older brothers that are 9 and 10 years older than me. I have Leo and Pete. So we've all worked in the family business, per se. Leo was there first, and then PD came in, and then I worked there for a little bit through high school and college. Leo went on to do lending, so he's my personal lender that I work with. So any deal that I have or any buyer that I have, he's obviously going to be, be getting the deal first. So we keep it kind of in the family, which is really, really cool.
Sure.
So when I talk with a client or a buyer that's looking to buy, I was like, hey, you're a one-stop shop here. If you need any help with your credit, I got you covered. You need help getting a loan, I got you covered. You need help finding a house, I'm here to help you also. So you get that, like, oh, wow, I can really get everything, all in one pop here.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool there. I was originally going to start my real estate career in 2008. Fresh out of high school.
Okay.
Fresh out of high school.
Not such an optimal time.
Yeah, no, it definitely was not. I was like, oh, come on, boys. I was like, this economy just ruined my whole 10-year plan.
Yeah, right.
Just sliced it and pulled the rug out from under my feet. But to some background on that, I grew up watching my parents do real estate and obviously do real estate investing. I saw them do flips, and I saw my father, manage his properties, same with my brothers.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. I was like, there's absolutely no reason for me to go to school. I already know I have a good sense of how to, make money or make money work for me is what we like to call it.
Right.
And I'm going to do that. My father had me reading, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, in high school. So I was like, cool. So I had an understanding of what money was and how to actually make money and be smart about making money instead of you putting in time for dollars.
Right.
It makes sense. And you're actually trying to work hard for that. I was like, you always work smarter, you don't work harder. So 2008 came, I'm like, boom. Well, that got crushed.
Yeah.
So what do I do? So I ended up going to ASU. I graduated there. I was originally going to go into medical device sales.
Okay.
Or pharmaceutical sales. So I was actually having interviews with Olympus ENT my junior year in Sky Harbor Airport at baggage claim. I had two of them. His name was, I think it was Scott Jensen. And I was just praying on the way there. I was like doing like a little prayer on the way there. I was like, God, I'm a man of faith. I was like, if this is it, just show me a sign and allow him to feel who I am as a person and the value that I can bring to the table. And I was like, he just doesn't have to read my resume because I don't have any experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm like, 21 years old at the time. There's no experience there.
Right.
As soon as he starts reading my resume, he's like, Josh, I'm not a big fan of resumes. I want to know who you are. I want to know why I should hire you and you would be a good fit, for me and my team.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was
You're
figuring
having
out,
this
like,
interview in baggage claim?
in baggage claim. Yeah.
Damn,
But
okay.
he was going between he came into Phoenix and then he had a layover for a little bit and then he's going to go to Utah.
Got it.
That's where he's from. So I was like, boom. I was like, here's my shot.
Right.
Got it. So I put in like a little 10-minute spiel. I even got emotional at the point in time because I was just like so hungry to like get it started.
Right.
Right.
And he's like, you know what, Josh? I was like, I like you, man. I was like, I like you a lot. You have good energy. I can feel that you have a good business acumen. You have a good business mindset. I can see you're going to do very well for yourself. It's like, if I had my own business right now, I'd hire you today. Boom. Just like that. And I was like, well, let's get it started, man.
Right. Yeah.
I was like,
Closing the deal right on the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, here, I'll sign the paperwork. It's like, I don't need to graduate. That's what I didn't tell him that. But he's like, obviously, there's some other things that we have to go into play. There's some other interviews going through HR. Right. So I went through the entire process, and I didn't end up getting in position because there was another gentleman that, had, I think, 2 years under his belt. Okay. So I had to go with him instead. It was just cool. I totally understood. Didn't have, too high of expectations. It would have been an amazing opportunity. Outside of that, I interviewed with Johnson & Johnson, and then I also interviewed with Stryker. Yeah. But going through the process and actually hearing what these jobs were actually entailing, I was just like, dang, man. I was like, this doesn't sound like me at all. Right. Like, I'm going to be on call, working all the time. I'm 23 years old, not going to have a life. Money's going to be cool. Money's going to be great. But I was like, I know that money's not everything. I ended up taking a sales position for an insurance and surety company based out of Chicago, and I was territory manager in Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico for 2 years. I just wanted the experience to see what corporate world was like. But I knew my first day going in was going to be my last day. I was like, this isn't going to be my gig. I'm going to see, I'm going to get a feel for it. And then outside of that, cool, I got it under my belt, and I'm going to get back into real estate. 2015, I decided to jump back in. And I gave him my 30-day notice. There was actually a team that I was speaking with prior to that in October, and they kept reaching out to me, hey, Josh, do you want to do real estate full-time? So I had 2 more conversations with them. I was like, all right, let's go. I was like, there's nothing holding me back except for myself. So in 2015 is when I actually started full-time in the real estate world here. And boy, they make it look at all, cool and fun and easy. Oh, bravo. Oh, cash deal, close in 10 days. Boom, let's get it done. I was like, yeah, definitely not what can happen. Anybody in real estate can tell you that that's definitely not how the gig is. There's a lot of time. that is involved. We work 7 days a week. You know, you're on call. You almost become people's like counselor at some points in times, you know, walking them through some things, but it is very, very rewarding. It takes a lot of hard work, takes a lot of dedication. It takes a very well-groomed business mindset to make this happen, because me as an individual, people going into real estate don't really understand that it's not a job. It's not a career. You are starting a business, absolute business. You are doing all the marketing. You are doing all the promoting. You are doing all the callbacks. You are doing all the showings. You are doing all the open houses. You're coming up with all the marketing material. You're trying to get, market as much as you can on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, you know, whatever the case is, just so you can be in front of these people and be attached to their eyes, so they can see that you're actually in the real estate world. Yeah. And a lot of people I see that come in don't realize that. They think it's going to be real easy. And I'll tell you, your first deal is usually going to be your hardest deal. I didn't get my first deal. I would say, honestly, I think it was like 4 months. It took till about 6 months for that wheel to really start turning. There was even a point in time where I was like, you know, man, this probably just isn't for me. I need to probably go back to corporate world. But I do a lot of self-talks, you know, to myself. You know, obviously you pump yourself up before the gym or whatever. I do my self-talks like usually in the morning. I have a ritual that I have, and I do like meditation. But this one was in the evening, and I went outside. I walked around the neighborhood, kind of assessing what my situation was. And I remember before I started, I was like, Josh, you dedicated yourself a year to this new venture. I was like, stick it out. You essentially, you got to man up. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to man up. Yep, you got to push through. And you know, it's going to challenge you, but it's going to be worth it. You know, it's going to be worth it. Just keep plugging and playing. And I did, and it was probably one of the best and most rewarding decisions that I have made, not only financially, but also more importantly, the relationships I've been able to establish within my industry and also with clients and, you know, the friends and everything, you know, outside of that. So it's been very fun. It's been very rewarding. Now my current gig is that I'm almost like a one-stop shop guy again, you know, in the real estate. If you're looking to invest, I can help you there. If you're looking to, you know, find wholesale properties, I can help you there. If you're looking to flip homes, I do flips for myself, my family, and for other investors. I do that. Okay. You're looking to list your house, boom, let's get you covered. If you're looking to buy a house, I got you set up with, you know, my brother, and also if you have any blemishes on credit, I got you taken care of there too. Yeah. So there's a lot of different areas and arenas and avenues you can take in real estate that actually can produce, you know, and generate a good source of income for you. When I first got in, I met an individual. He showed me 7, and I was like, cool. I want to speak with you. I want to know all of them. I was like, I'm serious about that, because I never wanted to walk into a room or speak with an individual and not be able to satisfy whatever their appetite on real estate was going to be. Sure. Whatever the conversation was, I was like, I can help you. Let's talk tomorrow. Or I was like, oh, I got a deal for you. Let's make it happen. Yeah. I wanted to be that guy. I didn't want to lose the deal right there. I wanted to close it. Sure. Essentially. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, awesome, man. That's a lot. There you go. Yeah. There you go. It's cool. We got to get you in touch with Darwin. He's been on the show. He's actually got a YouTube channel that speaks specifically to real estate investing. Gotcha. And he's slowly but surely accumulating his book of business as well. So we'll make sure that we connect you guys offline. Cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, but going back to so real estate is your platform. Yes. Right. But as I've gotten to know you, that is not the end all be all for you. Absolutely not. Right. Where does your spiritual journey begin? Like when did that become your ability to read energy, so to speak? How have you developed that? This is what I tell people. I was like, real estate is my profession. It's not my purpose. My purpose here on earth is designed very differently. I grew up quick. Around the age of 19, life changed for me. In what way? I don't even know how to really explain it at this point in time. I just knew that I was different, and then I saw life differently, and then I was realizing and seeing and understanding the beauty that was in every day, every moment, every person. And I wanted to share that with people. I was like, there is so much to live for, and there's so much gratitude to have in life on an everyday basis, and every single day, and every person you come in contact with. I was like, I want to be able to share this with people and create a beautiful mindset around that. Yeah. Either people that are struggling, or people that are just going to go through life. So I can prepare them with a mindset that's going to help them utilize and make the tools necessary for trials and struggles and storms and ups and downs. So you're able to actually overcome those in a bigger and a more effective way because you already have the tools.
Yeah.
You have the gratitude that's in your heart. You have, the love that you're able to share and communicate not only with yourself first, with your self-love, but also to be able to share and express that love to other people.
Sure.
By every conversation that you have and everybody that you touch. Talking about energies. When I enter into your field of energy, usually your heart has a magnetic field that goes out, at least 2 meters, and an electromagnetic field that go out, they can't even calculate how far it goes. But when you walk into a room, you have the ability to either bring the energy up or bring the energy down.
Sure.
I always choose to bring it up. So when I walk into your experience and you're walking into my experience, I know that I have seconds to make an impression on you.
Yeah.
And a lasting impression. So what I always do is I embrace you and bring you in for a hug.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as you embrace somebody with a hug, you're already breaking down those walls. You're already breaking down those barriers, to entry.
Sure.
And letting this individual that's across from you, who literally seconds ago was a stranger, allowing them to feel like, hey, now you're a family member, and now you're a friend.
Sure.
So the conversation becomes more fluid.
Yeah.
It becomes more open because I have allowed myself to be that person.
Yeah.
By showing and expressing that, now I can allow them to enter and do the same thing as well.
One thing I really want to pinpoint, excuse me, is your choice of words. You choose to bring the energy up. When did you realize that dynamic, the up or down of energy, is indeed a choice? Because I actually wrote about that specifically in my book, Inner Circle.
Right.
That not in terms of energy, but happiness is a choice.
Yes.
So when did you realize that that's a conscious decision?
Around that time, because I was going through some struggles in my life with like a relationship.
Okay.
And it was really bringing me down. It's like I realized I was like, I can make a decision, or I can make it a choice. I was like, I can either make sure that I am not an effect of my circumstances, but I'm going to take action of my circumstances and put in the mindset necessary for me to overcome whatever's in front of me.
Sure.
So I chose to be happy. I was like, and I had the conversation, whether it's within a relationship or whether it's business or you're just going through something, you have to assess the situation, because a situation and a thought is neither negative nor positive, but your perception in the mind makes it so. So you have the choice to either go left or right, and that is up to you.
Sure.
So I always choose to take the positive route. For a lot of people, it's very easy to succumb to the negative route. 70 to 80% of our self-talk and criticism is negative.
Oh, yeah.
So it's actually a lot harder to be a positive person, to be a happy individual.
Right.
But it's more rewarding, as you guys may know. Your chakras are in line, right? Yeah, so you know what's up. You know what's up. So for people that I'm telling it, I was like, stop falling victim to whatever you're going through, you're battling. Life happens to everybody. We're all going to go through things. I would say the S word, but we're all going to go through that. We're all going to be,
cuss, it's cool.
Yeah, we're all going to go through some shit.
Yeah.
We're going to be, knocked down, just like you're in a match, in the boxing where you're going to be jabbed in the face, boom, boom. You feel like you can't get nothing in, and you're going to feel like you can get knocked out. But you have the ability to get back up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And change what your life circumstances are.
Sure.
A lot of people don't feel like they have the willpower, or they're like, oh no, went through some things with my family, or, I went through things with my relationship, whatever. I was like, bro, whether it's a male or female, I can show you a person that actually has a hard day. I can show you a person that doesn't have a roof over their head.
Right.
I was like, I can show you that somebody is actually going through some struggles that's even on their deathbed. Why? Because I've been there. I've held these people's hands. I've held them in my arms. I've seen their struggles. And you're telling me you have a hard day? I don't think so. I was like, you need to realize the blessings that you have in your life. First off, by you waking up this morning. You breathing? That's what I thought. Somebody else down the road wasn't.
Yeah.
Or isn't. or is taking their last breath, and you have reason to bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just put things in perspective if you want to be real.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can get tough. That's coach mode.
No,
That's
that's
coach mode right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
so
coach mode, yeah.
So at 19, you discovered like this is your purpose, or guiding people essentially. What pieces did you put in place, whether it's books or people, that helped you start developing this mindset? Because I know you mentioned your dad exposed you to books like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
But how did you continue to develop this once you discovered like this is what you want to do?
Yeah. What you say right there is huge, because we all we go through experiences, or we go through people, or we meet people, we have books that we read that just kind of just change things for us.
Mm-hmm.
That happened for me also. So when I was 19, it was the first time I actually got introduced to the law of attraction.
Okay.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
I could think I can literally think of something and manifest it into my life, like almost like a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It was essentially just a different form of prayer, for me. I realized later on in life, it's not really about the law of attraction, but the law of vibration. It's the frequency that you actually put out, allowing for that to actually appear into your life.
Mm-hmm.
But there was individuals. So I hang out with a lot of people that are, say, more mature than me, is what I like to say.
Right.
So when I was 19, I was hanging out with people that were late 30s, 40s, even 50s, because they've gone through life.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through the experiences.
Mm-hmm.
They know what, the good, the bad, and the ugly is. So I wanted to know what they were going through.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, there was a lot of mentors that they were just literally coming into my life. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is awesome. But there was one book in particular that was given to me that really changed things, and really kind of molded me into the man that I am today. And it was to me, it was by chance that it was actually introduced to my life. So I was modeling at the time, and there was this girl that I was dating. He said, hey, you want to go to this fashion show? So my friends are going to be there. We can hang out and have some drinks and just, enjoy our time. We go there, and then as soon as we walk in, we run into this individual, and he seemed really nice. His name was Sean. And he and her hit it off, not in a way hey, you trying to steal my girl or anything.
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I was but they're both from Globe, Arizona.
Okay.
Nobody's from Globe. So I was nobody's from Globe. All right. They actually knew some of the same people, and so they were talking. I was just there hanging out, and then but he crossed his arms and he looked at me, very intently, and he asked me, I was like, have you ever read the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, you're ready for it. And in my head, I'm like, what? I was like, who are you, bro? I was like, what do you mean I'm ready for it? One, who are you? Two, I don't even read. Three, what's this book about? You know what I mean? Yeah, I was a young cat at the time.
Yeah.
I think I was 20 years old. But we ended up exchanging information because he was a photographer.
Okay.
I was getting into modeling. So I was like, hey, we can probably exchange. He can build my book. I can build his book.
Yep.
We met for coffee, a week later. And we're sitting there, and we're just chit-chatting, catching up, and getting to know each other. And then he pulls out the book, slides it across the table. You remember this book? And I looked at it, and I was like, that's the book you were talking about, wasn't it? He's like, yeah. I want you to take this home. And I was like, as a gift from me. I'm like, okay, cool. I still didn't know really what to think of the situation. So I went home. I put the book on my bed. I went to the gym. Still in college at the time. Went, finished my homework. Got out of the shower, and I was looking at it, and I was like, you know what? He gave me this book for a reason. That was just too odd for him to say that, and then to gift it to me.
Right.
So I started reading the book. By the second chapter, I was in tears.
Really?
For sure, yeah. By the second chapter, I was in tears. The whole premise of the book is there's this individual, this man, it's actually him, Neil Donald Walsh. It's actually him. It's a story about his life. He was just going through a hard time. He was, he lost his job at the radio station. Ironically, here we are. He got a divorce, and everything just seemed to be falling and crumbling down on him. And he was literally on a couch, and he's just asking questions. He was like, God, why is this happening to me? I was like, what can I do to make this better? And then a voice came over him, which he thought was his imagination. He's like, you really want the answers? And well, who is that? Who's that? He's like, yeah. And it was so powerful that he started writing it down and started jotting it down. Here's the beautiful thing, though. So the questions that he was asking were the questions I was asking.
Holy crap.
And the answers that I wanted to know about life, about love, about relationships, about God, about family, about how to be somebody in this world, about where our origins come from, and how each one of our souls is designed the same. And it struck me, man, and it really just morphed me into a new person, you know, at that point in time. And I stuck with it. I was like, this is who I want to be, because I just gravitated to understandings like that we're here to do more than just make money and, you know, and try and make a living, and, you know, do the day to day.
Right.
We're here to connect with people. We're here to build relationships with people. We're here to have experiences. We're here to create memories, because I can show you how to make money, you know, and put money in your pocketbook. But if I can change your heart and bring happiness to your life,
right,
that's true transformation.
Exactly.
That money necessarily, and to some degree, is arguable that it can, but it's not going to last forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
The as Jeff would put it, utilizing money as a tool.
Yes.
To facilitate, but it's not the goal.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, that's a little bit of like the spiritual journey, and then from there, I've always just I don't want to say take on projects, but I just, people come into my life and I feel a need to help them.
Okay.
People will reach out to me like, hey Josh, can you have a coffee with me, or do this and that, whatever. And I'm like, boom. I was like, I got to help you.
Sure.
There's been a couple stories that I really have that are really, really cool. I can probably get into that later, but I've understood a need of how to use my emotional intelligence on how to really extract what this individual is going through.
Sure.
And then be able to create systems and processes and a different perspective on life, on how to help and change them so they can see a new day, or they can see a brighter day. People that have been dealing with depression, you know, or PTSD, or just, you know, going through some hard times, or even I had a guy reach out to me. He's like, hey man, I'm going through some things, you know, with my business and, you know, some of my partners. I just want some, you know, some of your information and see how you can help.
Sure.
And he's like, as soon as we were done with the conversation, he's like, I knew you were the guy I needed to talk to. I was like, I knew you were the guy. Because it comes down to just having a conversation with people and really identifying with them, because there's a lot of people out there that just feel like they just want to be heard, you know, somebody to listen to them.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids, you know, when I was younger. I wasn't the most popular kid. I was actually kind of chubby, to be honest. Husky, as mom would say. Mom would call you husky, right? Yeah, mom would call you husky. They even had a size husky back in the day.
I remember that. Yeah,
damn,
I do remember that.
I don't want to buy that size. No, I'm not husky, bro.
Yep, I was wearing that.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Until I grew into my body, I guess you can say, like, I'm probably around 6th or 7th grade. But I was very shy. I'm not the social butterfly that I am today. I was very reserved. I grew up pretty much by myself. By the time I was 8 years old, both my brothers were out of the house. So I learned grew up how to be very independent.
Sure.
But growing up, you know, as a heavy-set kid, it affects you. It affects you in ways you wouldn't really know or understand it.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I was in a beautiful, supportive, loving environment as far as my family, that I didn't really fall into such a severe hole that some people can.
Yeah.
And that's not even just dealing with weight, you know, just even just getting positive affirmations, you know, from like your mother or your father, and getting that type of support, or, you know, when you come home to a negative environment, your psyche becomes negative, and that's what you're prone to.
Right.
Because within the household with your mother and your father, if they're hopefully still together, you're going to learn about love. You're going to learn about relationships. You're going to learn about intimacy. You're going to learn about money. That is your role model, your primary role model or role models for 18, 20 years of your life. So you are an extension of them until you decide one day, I know that my father, he probably meant well, but he didn't lead the life that I want to.
Sure.
You know, he didn't do the things that I would do as a person, because then we can cognitively build off of what our experience was, and we can see outside experiences and notice that, hey, I know that I can create a better life for myself based off of what it was.
Right. I mean, we talked about that with Mike and Ashley Bledsoe and Anat Perry in the surrounding the topic of unlearning, right? Dumping old thought habits and replacing them with new ones that are yours and yours alone. They're not imparted upon you through your parents or outside influences. You know, like you said, you know, your parents meant well, but that's not the best for me. Like being able to, like you said, cognitively make that decision and take your experience, their experience, and choose.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you guys gone through something similar of the sort, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the conversations like Durs and I had, and just also like self-development.
Yeah.
When you get to a point of like loving your parents for who they are and also loving them for who they're not.
Yeah.
And not taking it as a guilty thing for saying like, well, they did fantastic in this area and didn't do so well in this one. But coming to an appreciation like I am where I am today because of the lessons that I've learned.
Correct.
And then just start figuring out yourself like, where have I, like you said, reframing that experience like it's not a negative experience. It was just an experience.
Exactly.
And you find that positive insight or that outlook on it and say, okay, this is the direction I want to take my life and the people that I run across, and start manifesting and attracting the things that I want to have in my life. Yep. And so like it takes a lot of self-development, but it's like looking in the mirror, honestly, like when you're going through it, because you honestly feel bad because you don't want to say to your parents like you feel like you're judging. Yeah, you feel like you're judging people, but it's like you're not judging. You're just like taking a look at those experiences and then just creating a learning experience out of that, and then just going forward from there. So I think as you're going through it, takes a while to like sort of unpack all of those things that happen to you in life. But it's cool once you finally get on not the other side of it, because you're continually going through it, but
at least on the upside.
Yeah, on the upside, you understand that you can start seeing what that looks like as the situations start coming in your life, and if it's not fitting that value system, you can say, okay, if it doesn't fit in this value system, I can just do away with it. And the things that do, this is what I want to start attracting, like the people, the relationships, the circumstances in my life. So but I think if I speak for myself, I've gone through that a lot, man. And even continually, we talked about the chakra training that we went through, or the Reiki experience with Layla. That got me, dude.
Yeah,
like,
you feel something?
Yeah, dude. I was because I'm not a
triggered some shit.
Yeah,
for you.
dude. Because I'm gonna
realign some shit.
Yeah,
your chakras out of place, dog.
It's wild, man. Because like I am an emotional guy, but I'm not outwardly emotional people. Like if I'm like, so we're best friends or whatever, I'll look at you and I'm like, oh, I have love for this cat. I won't tell you that though. But on the back end, I'm like, oh, I love that dude, man. I want to, I wish the best for him. But up close, I'm like, man, suck that shit up, bro. Like, like from the football mentality.
Yeah, sure.
But then going through that Reiki experience, it's just like I've seen that I put places or walls in my life that block emotional relationships and emotion. And so I've honestly just hardened myself. And so that experience working with not only a Reiki experience, but a female energy, delivering that Reiki experience was a completely like eye-opening experience for me. It was an emotional purge, I guess you would say.
Sure.
And I was like, why the hell am I crying? I was like apologizing to her that I was crying.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak to you, on that, because it's something that I identify with, us all being men.
Yeah.
We are taught to be hard. We are taught to be callous. We are taught to be tough. We are taught to be, there's no crying, in football and baseball or whatever sport. You got to be the leader. You got to be the man of the family. It's like, I feel like there's all this pressure to be this certain, macho individual. Now I come from a macho Latino family, so you have to be, boom, with it, to a certain degree. But what we're taught, and not even just men and women, as children and as adolescents and as teens and even into young adulthood, we're not taught how to identify with our emotions and how to deal with our emotions, or even overcome some of the negative emotions that we have.
Right.
That's huge. That is really huge, because these emotions, whether you like it or not, they are with you.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to understand them and how to actually use them in a beneficial way, they can bring you down, and they will bring you down. Yeah. If you don't have the tools, in place, to actually have that positive mindset. Sure. But one of the beautiful things that you were talking about, where you're saying is like, oh, I love this cat, but I'm not going to tell him that. I tell my boys I love them all the time. The reason being is because I have learned the power of being vulnerable. Being vulnerable with myself, being vulnerable with my family, being vulnerable with my significant other, girlfriend, whatever you have, or you got a wife, or whatever the case is, because by you allowing yourself to be vulnerable and putting your guards down, you're allowing them to come into your experience and really know and how you feel. Because the only way they're going to know how you feel is if you tell them. If there's an issue with what you guys going on, the only way you guys are going to resolve the issue is if you guys sit down and you guys discuss it. Right. By becoming vulnerable, it's been one of the biggest life lessons that I have learned, and it's also been one of the biggest life lessons that I do share. Sure. Because it comes down to the human connection. If I'm going to connect with you, even if you're even on a date, or if you're just trying to connect with somebody in a business relationship, the only way you're going to know and understand where I come from and where my heart truly lies is if I tell you. But while I'm telling you, it's empowering you on the other side, if you're on the other side of the spectrum, and it's also encouraging you and making you feel comfortable with doing the same to me.
Sure.
And then that's where you have that compatibility, you know, in the dating, that's really huge. People are like, oh, I don't know what to say. I was like, well, just talk about yourself, man.
Sure.
But, you know, for you and say your boys, you know, for them to actually hear that from you changes everything. It means the world.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, for us as men to even sometimes say that to our father, or for our father to say that to us is huge.
Yeah.
But we know, even saying, hey, and for your dad to say, hey, I'm proud of you, son, you know that will just rock you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just has some. It just has something from him. For him to say that to you, just wow! It's like one of the most gratifying things in the world. It's like, oh, I got Pop's approval. You know, I'm on the right path. You know, he's proud of me.
Right.
That feels good. It can bring a man to tears for sure. You know, especially if your relationship has been kind of broken, but you guys have like rekindled. You know, some things.
Right.
And then to say I love you, boom, that's the next step.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's been a conversation that I had with my father when I was going through my spiritual awakening, and I knew that, you know, he comes from a very macho background.
Okay.
We were in the kitchen one day, and I think we have like a little bar top, you know, at the old house.
Yeah.
And I was just there, you know, writing notes or whatever, and we got into a discussion, and it came down to this. And I was like, you know what, Dad? I was like, you don't even tell me you love me. When's the last time you told me you love me? And then he looks at me, and he was serious. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I write it in your birthday cards every year. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm going to let you think about that. I was like, I'm not going to say anything, but I want you to realize what you just told me. And I left, and I walked away. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I was very understanding of what his circumstances was. His dad never told him that.
Yeah.
So that's all he knew. Was to be that person or to be that man, you know, to us.
Right.
But now, Pops is different. Pops actually read that book that I did. It changed his life too.
Okay.
It was crazy. So our connection over the last 5-6 years has just been boom. Like
That's awesome.
We've been on fire. So I'm very, very grateful to have that. But he's still a little bit iffy about saying I love you. Like he'll say it on Facebook. He'll say it on Facebook, but he won't verbalize it. Yeah, exactly. It's different to say it in person. But it's beautiful to see what vulnerability has created as far as positivity in my life and also of others.
Well, it's interesting that, you know, just the word love from a place of masculinity and the perception of conflict that has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I come from a family where, you know, one of the lessons that my dad came from nothing, right, and used Uncle Sam to achieve his status in life, right? You know, the military paid for law school. He was an officer in the Air Force, all that good stuff. But he ran away from home when he was 13, had nothing. And one of the things that he imparted on his boys was you never leave a conversation with a loved one without saying I love you. You know, especially after his Vietnam experience, he's like, you never know if you're ever going to see them again.
Yeah.
Like, and as dark and gloomy as that perspective is, it's really fucking true.
Absolutely.
You know, the night that he passed, the last thing I got to say to him was, I love you. Right. And for me, that's so powerful because, you know, he's wherever he is in the universe.
He's here with us right now, man.
And nothing has been left unsaid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I got married, when my wife and I were dating, and we had got to the 4-letter word that is love, you know, we did the long distance thing for a little bit. And I told her I love her, and she hung up the phone. In our next conversation, I was like, hey, for me, I know this isn't something that you might be used to in your inner circle, in your family, you know, because her family is like the embodiment of love. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even though they don't say it. But to me, it's important. It's one of my love languages, the spoken word.
Of course.
Right? So I'm like, before we ever get off the phone, it doesn't matter. Before we go to bed at night, it doesn't matter. The last thing I want to hear from you is, I love you. And like, that's the rule.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it is a game changer, like you were saying. You know, being able to express that freely absent of your perception of judgment, right? It is just puts you on a different level as far as frequency and your ability to receive love as well.
Yeah, that's huge. Are you dating anybody currently?
No.
No?
Single forever, man. I'm never
I like, hey, I'd give you a high five if my girlfriend might be on. I actually just got into a relationship. We were dating for and I'll tell you guys this story. We were dating for about a year, on and off. Like I still didn't want to commit because I had this mindset in mind. I was like, no, I'm just too busy. I got to stay focused. I got all these things I want to do. Whatever, just playing the narrative in my head, like a lot of us guys do, or even women. Yeah. But I don't want to say stuck around. I want to say she almost like committed herself to me because she had a very big passion and love for me. I think because some of it had to come with like appreciation because I did help her with some things that she was going through within her life, you know, because I care. You know, you end up caring for people that you spend time with, quite a bit. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about, I wasn't using my own advice. So there was I'm sure we all been there. You know what I mean? Yeah. There was a point in time to where I was like, I know I love this girl. I have a lot of love for this person, but I was just so caught up in my ways that I didn't allow myself to really experience that.
Oh, sure.
So I think it was right at the year point. She finally comes in. It was right before I was going to a trip to Denver and New York. She comes in. I was packing. I was in the room, and she closes the door, sits on the bed, and she looks at me straight in the eye. And she's like, "Josh, you want to be with me or not?" And I'm like,
drop the hammer. Okay. Hard close. That's what I'm talking about.
I was like, oh, the pressure.
Tell me what you really want.
Exactly. I was like, the pressure. I was like, all right, cool. It's like, I'm totally cool with having these conversations. I already kind of had to know what I was going to say. Yeah. And we talked about it, and I was like, her name is Sabri.
It's a cool name.
Yeah, it's very different. I've never heard it before. It's very pretty. So I had the conversation with her.
Boyfriend points. Ding.
Yeah.
I was like, baby, I hope you're listening. Yeah. Brownies. Yeah, right there. And so we had the conversation, and this was my biggest thing because she also has 2 kids. Okay. So I was like, Sabri, I was like, look, I have a lot of love for you as a person. I love who I am around you. I love who we are together. I love the relationship that we've built and that we have established. This is one thing you have to know. I was like, you and I are both she's older than me by a few years. I was like, you and I are both at sensitive ages that anybody that we consider dating or are going to be considered as a potential mate, later on in life. And I was like, I have to be honest with you. And I was always honest with her from the beginning because I called it off like 2 or 3 times, but we just kept coming back to each other in a sense. I was like, I was always honest with you in the beginning. I'm going to be honest with you now. I was like, if you are looking for Mr. Right or for a husband, I'm just not that guy. Okay. I was like, I'm not looking to get married in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. I just don't feel like that's in the cards for me yet. Yeah. And then she looks at me, she's like, Josh, whoever said I wanted to marry you? And in my head, I was like, don't even lie. You know what you thought about it. I was like, because I thought about it too. You know what I mean? It's like, don't even play. Don't even play. But I responded. I was like, well, nobody. And she's like, exactly. I was like, you haven't even given us a chance to date to even see if we're even compatible for marriage.
Just to be.
And I was like, I don't even know what it's like to date you. And I was like, dang. I was like,
that's that grown woman shit.
I was like, she got me there. I was like, I haven't given us a chance. I've been wanting to give us a chance, but I've just been lying to myself. Yeah. So after that conversation, I obviously went on my trip and I thought about it quite a bit, and I came back and I surrendered. I don't want to say I finally surrendered. I surrendered to the love that I already had for her. Yeah. And ever since I've done that, it's been amazing. It's been truly beautiful. Her and I have a beautiful connection that we always had, but now it's just grown exponentially. Yeah. And she truly is a huge part of my happiness right now. And I'm just very anxious to see, where that goes.
Wow. What do you think held you back for so long? Because, like, speaking from my own experience, I've viewed relationships, and going back to the Reiki session, is like, I've been so hyper-focused on when it was high school. Sports, athletics, academics, college, athletics, academics, tailored out, get a job, focus on the job. Then I start a business, and it's like, if women come in here, I'm going to be distracted, so I'm not even going to worry about that.
Yeah.
Is that a similar thing that was running through your mind, like that narrative, that story?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I don't want distractions. That's one of the reasons I don't have a TV in my house. You don't see a TV in no room, no living room, nothing. I got whiteboards. So I'm always focused on something. I was like, that's what I told her. I was like, and I wouldn't tell her specifically, but I would tell everybody else. I was like, I don't want a female to come in here and distract me for what my goals are. It's not even just real estate. I have a lot of goals that are more important than real estate that have to do with transformation people's lives. I was like, that's huge for me. That's a huge part of my purpose and a huge part of my calling. Probably more important than real estate. And I was like, I don't want somebody to come in here and say like, I was like, oh my God, you're not giving me enough attention. You're not calling me, you're texting me. Right. I was like, we don't even go on dates, this, that, and the other. I was like, I don't have time for that shit. Yeah. I was right. If you know what I mean? If you're going to be somebody that's like that, I don't got time for that shit. And this is what I said. I was like, and I was very honest with her. I was like, look, Sabri, I was like, I'm a very busy individual. Sometimes I don't get home till like, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night just because I got things going on. I wake up at 4:30. That's my ritual. And, if I text you throughout the day, cool. I was like, I'm not going to call you 24/7. I'm not going to be texting you. I was like, I'm not one of those guys. If you want one of those guys, go find one. I was like, I got so many other things I got to worry about, other than our relationship that are very important, especially in real estate. There's people relying on me that I have a responsibility to, a fiduciary responsibility to help them either get in this house or close this house. They are counting on me almost like an attorney. That's how important this is. You have to understand that. And she was. Yeah. She was very understanding to me.
Man's countering right now. Yeah. Like we're trying to preserve his independence.
Right.
Yeah. She was very understanding of it. Yeah. And she was very understanding. She's like, I need to talk to you all the time too. And I was like, all right, well, she's not like giving me any like defense.
No ammunition, bro.
It's just falling right there.
She was acclimating she was acclimating to my life in a sense. So I didn't have any, pull. She wasn't. There was no reason for me like not to like say, "Oh, hey, let's go." She was complimenting me in so many ways. Yeah. But to answer your question, the right girl will come along when you know it. You know what I mean? If there's gonna be a person that's gonna obviously distract you in bigger ways, then that you feel is unnecessary, then you get boom. Because they have to be there to love you and support you and understand what your goals and ambitions are, and be one of your biggest supporters, as you are as you are for them. Right. I am one of her biggest supporters. I help her in her business. I help her within her daily life, and building her up to a positive attitude, all the time too. Because I said this, I was like, look, Sabri, I was like, I don't have to be in a relationship. I am choosing to be in one.
100%.
Whether this works out or not, I'm going to be okay. I have a lot going on for me. Like I'm very big in faith, and I have a wonderful family. I do a lot with community service here in the Valley and outside of the Valley. I have my God-given purpose to find me that keeps me fulfilled in my life. Yeah. I was like, so if somebody comes into it, great. They're only going to add more to it. If they leave, I'm still going to be cool. Right. I have come to a point in my life to where I have achieved that, and I know that. Yeah. And I'm only going to, if I'm only going to love her just as I would before if we were to part ways. Sure. Or with anybody. Yeah. Yeah. And I have to understand that. I was like, there's no reason for me to hate or put negative energy into either a person or an experience. It's only just going to drag me with it. So I put as much love into, the person or whatever the moment is, so I know I'm going to give love back in return. Yeah. And I'm able to either cope with it or, get to the next position that I know that's going to be where I need to be. Yeah. So you just got to wait for her, man. Like, it's like, I always say, stay focused, stay laser focused as much as you can, whatever. But there's going to be a girl or, maybe a couple girls that come across you, but you're not going to understand there's going to be one that's different. Yeah. And that wants to love you and support you and even help you in as much as they can. Those are keepers, man. I was like, trust me, those are keepers because because me being in real estate, there'll be a month where I don't get a check, and there'll be months where I get 3, 4, 5, whatever the case is. That's just how it is. Yeah. If she loves you and supports you and wants to in a sense even push you further than where you're at, you got gold right there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I've always said, it's not you don't want to be with somebody who needs you. Right. You have to want each other. It can't be an issue of codependence.
That's huge. People deal a lot with that.
Right. That dynamic exists, you know what I mean? But as individuals, you have to know that you can stand on your own 2 feet, and then what you guys create together is more powerful than what you are separately, even though as separate entities, if you will, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Nicole doesn't need me, and I don't need her, but we want to be together so bad that, we tied a knot, had 2 kids, and
Locked in for life.
and life is rocking. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But we want to be with each other. But in terms of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we don't fulfill the need portion of that for each other.
Yeah.
We are the icing on the cake of each other's lives, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that's what makes our relationship so awesome.
Yeah.
She's an independent woman, I'm an independent man, and we come together and make something really beautiful together.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's and I think that a lot of people create this thought of necessity, like I have to be with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I need, for me to be fulfilled, I need to be with you, and it creates this. You're less than without that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that if you're not in a mature space, if you haven't identified who you are as a person, that's a very toxic circumstance.
Yeah. I think a lot of is going back to the dating, aspect. I feel like a lot of people, like you say, they create that out of necessity. A lot of it has to do with approval.
Right.
If I get approval from, the opposite sex, then okay, cool. Then I have like more self-confidence. I have more self-esteem, going through these dating apps. When they first came out, I tried them out. I was like, man, this shit ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? I got like 10 conversations going and they can't even line up a coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I do better, person and, one-on-one. But for other guys, the girls that I talk to, going out there and obviously filtering through that, boom, boom, there's swipe right, or whatever going on through all these dates. It's seems very empty. It seems very, 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 very shallow.
Oh yeah.
For guys, sometimes some guys and girls, they're using it. You just like hook up app, whatever. But there are some genuine people out there that you want to find, the person or the one, and it's great. It allows you to connect, with more people, instantly or in a faster period of time, whether you would through naturally. But I always recommend. I was like, if you're going to, get on those apps, make sure you know who you are first.
Right.
Like you say, don't try and be with somebody out of necessity, or because you just need approval, or you just need, to feel that love because you didn't get it from mom or dad or from your family, prior than that. Identify who you are, love yourself first, and then the person that's going to come into your life is going to be walking in, either for a reason or for a season. You're going to have to wait it out and see exactly, what that is.
I love that. For a reason or for a season.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's really
See
solid.
what's up? Oh, you guys
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's super solid advice, because it goes to, have you heard of Marie Forleo?
No, I haven't.
Well, she runs B School, so helps entrepreneurs build businesses from the ground up. But just like you were talking about having, like, knowing yourself and doing things with intention and also attraction, like we were talking about in this conversation, she says before you send any email, and it could be a dating app, but before she sends any email, before she responds, she says, I'm going to be in the right space and have the right energy before I make this communication or send anything out. And if I'm not in the right space, I'm going to wait for however long it takes till I get in the right mind space, because once they receive this message from me, that energy is going to come off from what I'm saying.
Right.
And she's like, so you have to put yourself in the right mind frame and make sure you want the message to be received in a positive manner when you do anything. So if it's like sending an email, sending a text, making a call, jumping on a dating app, set your intention for the positive prior to, jumping into anything.
Right.
So I think about that before I do any type of responses to anybody. Just like, it's better to shut up and if I'm not in the right space before I want to deliver something that could potentially harm somebody. I want them to empower people.
Yeah.
So it speaks, like what you were saying is spot on, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be very mindful, especially the power of word is more transformational than we think.
Yeah.
Based off of, people can think like, oh, is he pissed off at me or is he happy? Based off of a text message, you just don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like you don't know the exact tonality that's coming, across there. So to be very selective with your words and what I call it is your approach.
Yeah.
Your approach to this situation is going to be a direct result of what is going to happen.
Sure.
If you're going to go into this, you guys just got in an argument or into a little tiff. If you're going there, you did this to me, you said that, coming from a very negative, aspect,
Right.
then her response is going to be a defense.
Sure.
No, I didn't say that. This is, and instead of going in from a place like this, and this is what I always say, this is my tips I give to people. I was like, before you go into an experience or before you go into a business meeting or you go into a conversation or conflict, always have to ask this question to yourself. What would love do? What would love say? How would love respond? Do not react, respond. It's a very big difference. What would love say? What would love do? And how would love respond? So if you and I just got in a conversation with somebody, or say it was the wife, and she said something that, didn't obviously please you, and it's like, what would love say to my wife right now? And how would love respond to my wife?
Right.
This you got to understand. This is the person that I married, the person that I walked down the aisle with, the person I looked, into their eyes and said, I love you and I do. Bring myself back to that moment of pure love, and there's going to be a direct response on that comes from love for that, instead of a fear, hate, and anger. And I do that quite a bit, and it's just like checking yourself. You're like, I got to check myself. You know what I mean? Take a breath. How would love respond in this situation? What would love say? What would love do?
Yeah.
Dude, I love that, man. I can tell your coaching career is going to take off, bro.
No, it's a very powerful message, man.
Yeah.
It goes back to one of the 4 agreements, being intentional with your word.
Yeah.
I live by that. Because communication is everything. Like, I have a standing rule. Like, if you want to talk about anything important, it will be in person. We're not going to do this via text message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when we have like serious stuff to talk about regarding the podcast, you know what I'm saying? Jeff just fucking shows up.
I got to talk to you. I'll be there at 10.
Let me holler at you for a minute. I'm like, he ain't got no gym bag. He's in street clothes. All right, it's about to go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but sit down for a second.
but there's, as far as like our communication, this is one of the things I value about our relationship, is that he respects that boundary for me. It's also a preferred method of communication for him, but he values the importance of that, in our relationship. That there is nothing that would be left to perception or interpretation. We're gonna sit down, look each other in the eye, and figure it out. One way or the other.
Yeah.
Even if it means agreeing to disagree.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's good that you have that. Obviously, to have that level of communication, especially in business, is very, very key. Not only in relationships and with your loved ones, but even in business. Because I've gone into partnerships with some of my best friends, and this is what I tell them, and I have this conversation in person very intently. I was like, look, I am never going to let money become between you and I. Is that understood? I was like, if this is about the money, then we better cut this right now, because I'm not going to do that. I was like, you and I have been friends or whatever for the last 10 years. The last thing I'm going to do is lose a relationship over $1. I was like, we have to go in this with the right intent. It works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be, because you hear stories like that, man. You like go into look, bank account, boom, drained. Or the partner just walked. Yep. Type thing. So going into a business relationship, you're putting their full trust into them, like a marriage. Essentially. So to have that high level of communication is necessary. Yeah. It's very necessary. It's so important to have. So I'm glad you guys obviously have established that and are boys and are locked in like that, because shit can get sideways quick.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt. So before we let you get off the show, man, we want to know, what do you do each and every day? You spoke to your daily routine. What do you do each and every day to empower your journey, man? Yeah.
I realized that I started need to wake. I'm a morning person. I don't know if it was by design or whatever, but I just know that I need to prime my brain from my experience, starting very early in the morning. I used to wake up at 5:30. Now I have to wake up at 4:30, so I can get the gym by 6. I'll be done by 8. I'll be showered by 8:30. I'll be out and ready to go by 9, and just take on the day. But my daily routine is I'll wake up and I always, set the tone, with certain type of music that I put into, my headphones, and I walk through my morning with my headphones in. It's either going to be classical music. And I started using classical music because when I was in high school, and I read this study or this article that if you listen to classical music while you are reading or learning, you're able to retain more information. But I learned to love it. I learned to like it, and it puts me in this beautiful state of trance, almost a state of tranquility and calmness that comes over my body. your brain is most active in the morning. So the information that you're inputting into your brain, in the first, few hours is going to be a direct result of how your day is going to go.
Sure.
So I understood that and I knew that. And I was like, cool. So I'm going to prime my experience every single day. So waking up at 4:30, put my headphones in with a certain type of music, either that or it's frequency 528, which frequency is it's the frequency of love. When you get into the spiritual world, you know about the seven scales or the 7 frequencies, and 528 is one of love. So that's what I
did
usually,
not know that.
usually hit that. And then I usually read my daily devotional, Jesus Always, there's one for every day. I'll at least read 1 or 2 passages, and then I'll write into my gratitude journal. So that was one of the first things that I was introduced to by the law of attraction and The Secret.
Yeah.
And that was actually gifted to me. So I keep the same journal. I have several of them, but I keep the same journal throughout the years. And there'll be times to where I'll go like a few months where I don't write in it. But as of the last couple of years, I've been very, very proactive on it. And on one side, I write what I'm grateful for today. And then what I'm grateful for, it's called the gratitude now, and then gratitude intentions. So what I'm grateful for now at this current moment, and then gratitude intentions, essentially what I'm grateful for that's, I'm trying to manifest into the future.
Got it.
The very first one that I write is, I am grateful for the love that continuously flows through my body so I'm able to share and communicate it with others effectively. That's the first thing that I write on the intention side.
Yeah.
So I can draw that into my experience, every time. And then I usually meditate for about 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then my meditation, everybody meditates differently.
Sure.
I found my own way. I started meditating because of Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, he's talking about meditation. He's like, if you don't have 5 to 10 minutes to get to yourself, then you're full of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, oh damn, I better get 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? I was like, at least do 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's not too bad. But obviously, when you first come into it, it's an Eastern practice that's been obviously inherited here into the Western world. And especially with the different philosophies, you just understand what they were talking about. Shit just makes sense. It's about the mind, the body, and the soul. You know what I mean? And they just got it right. You know? And so I use that, quite a bit in my daily life. Yeah. And what I meditate first for is I play out my day. Yeah. So I know pretty much how my day is going to flow. All right, I'm going to go be at the gym. I'm going to have this meeting 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But the entire time, it's almost like I'm walking through it. I'm visualizing how it's going to go, how the conversation is going to go, how the meeting is going to go, how they're going to sign the contract, the questions are going to answer, how I'm going to respond, the presentation I'm going to do, and then how I'm coming into my night. And then once that's finished, then I'll think about intently about maybe 1 or 2 things that I'm really trying to bring into my experience. Because you have to understand about meditation, it's not about just thought. It's about feeling. To be able to truly manifest something into your life, you have to create the feeling of what that experience is. You have to feel the love, or you have to feel that sunshine that you're feeling on the beach, and feel that breeze that's coming through, and feel the love and the warmth, of your wife or your girlfriend, your loved one, or just, in general, or picture yourself what the experience is to speak up in front of thousands of people. Really bringing that into your heart, into your mind, is how it really plays out into your future. Right. So that's my play. Awesome. And then gym at 6, and then we hit the day.
Nice. Oh, dude. Dude, where can everybody follow you and everything that you have going?
You guys can follow me. My main profiles are on Facebook. Just type in my name, Josh Zuniga, Zuniga. And then Instagram at Josh Zuniga _. You can go to YouTube channel. You can find me there. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on all the platforms. Reach out to me at any point in time. Send me a DM or a message, and I'm more than happy to speak or sit down and have a coffee with anybody, because that's what it's all about. It's about these connection points, these moments that we share, because that's what creates a relationship. And then from there, you can decide how long lasting you want to be, and create more loving experiences for yourself.
There you go.
Love it, bro.
Love it, man. Yeah. Dude, for everybody out there in Feed Me land, our tribe, get out there, support everything that Josh has going on. He's on the way to changing the world. So appreciate you taking the time, man. We know you're super busy.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, man. Yeah. And until next time, feed me, fuel me.